I should like label these and have them be like desktop server drinks.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WPwatercooler episode number 336. Today's topic is what's on your WordPress tool belt. Let's go around the room real quick and get everyone introduced. Let's start with Say Reed. Say, tell us about yourself.
Sup, peeps? My name's Say Reed. Oh, now I feel like I should wrap that, but I'm not going to. My name's Say Reed, and I'm here. I guess I am here to stay. No, just kidding. Who am I? I'm Say Reed, and I make WordPress, teach WordPress, preach WordPress at Say Reed Media on all the things. And I am one of the co-organizers for the kick-ass WordCamp Long Beach happening October 5th and 6th here in beautiful, sunny Long Beach. Come on down.
Good. Awesome. I'm going to be there. I'm excited about it.
I know you're a volunteer. I'm super excited. We're going to put you to work. Make you work.
How about you, Glenn? Tell us about yourself.
Glenn Ingram. I own Web Search Pros over in Huntington Beach. We do web design, optimization, and with web design, we specialize in ADA websites or website accessibility. And I'm not going to sing or rap, and you can thank me later.
Right now. Thank you.
Mr. Cosper, I expect you to rap, so what do you got?
I ain't rapping. What's up, everybody? Jason Cosper, aka Fat Mullenweg, aka the Bigger Lebowski, here to talk WordPress and WooCommerce. Ric Flair t-shirt.
Oh man, that's great.
I like. I've never thought to howl WooCommerce before. That's fun. Hey, also, can I ask, Jason, I know it's your turn next, but I just want to ask Glenn real quick. Web design or web development?
Development. You know,
Okay.
The average person says design, they understand a little bit more. Design, development, whatever they need.
That's so SEO of you. Okay, anyway. Sorry,
Talk to
Jason.
the people in their language.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at Jason Tucker on Twitter. My website is jasontucker.blog. I do this show as well as another show called WP Blab, where we talk about marketing, social media, all sorts of marketing type stuff. So feel free to go take a look at that at wpwatercooler.com/WPblab. And also, this episode is brought to you by Desktop Server, makers of ServerPress. ServerPress, makers of desktop server. I always get that backwards. Go over to their website over at serverpress.com, where you can learn how you could do 3 local WordPress development sites on your local computer there. And then also you can make it so that if you want to, you can go push that out to, to your web host. So feel free to go take a look at that over at
plugin, right?
serverpress.com.
WP Site Sync, that's their plugin.
Yeah. Yes, WP Site Sync, and that's an awesome way of being able to grab that local site and push it out, and also kind of move those things around as needed.
They got power.
So today's topic, we wanted to talk about like things that we're using, but also like one in particular, which was software called toolbelt. Which is a WordPress plugin, and I wanted to kind of discuss that a little bit. Toolbelt, from what I've been reading, and I haven't actually used it yet, but I've been kind of seeing it mentioned on a bunch of different sites and blogs, and Cosper found a whole bunch of different places that was mentioned as well. It's essentially an alternative to Jetpack. And it gives you a lot of the standard features that that you would get from Jetpack. Things like breadcrumbs and cookie banners and displaying comment URLs disable comment URLs, like all these different things, minus the part where you're actually getting any of your analytics, any of the analytics data.
It looks to me like it's, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's not so much an alternative to Jetpack. It's just more modeled off of Jetpack, where it's like a plugin of plugins, like where it's like, because that's like the Jetpack model is like, here's one plugin that does the job of 10 plugins, and this one's one that does the job of, I didn't count the list, a bunch. But they don't all seem to be the same. Like it doesn't seem to be like
there's no one-to-one.
To Jetpack. It seems like it does other stuff that Jetpack doesn't have going on. Like, does Jetpack do breadcrumbs? Is that a thing I've missed? Like, what? That's in Yoast. I don't think Jetpack does breadcrumbs. Anyway, maybe they do. They add stuff all the time, and I'm just not like on the full Jetpack drip all the time. Occasional Jetpack drip.
Yeah, I like to call plugins like Jetpack and now Toolbelt kitchen sink plugins, because they include everything but the kitchen sink.
Except for that podcast. So like,
and yes, they do breadcrumbs.
Yeah,
they do breadcrumbs as well.
Who's never had me on their show?
I do think that one of the cool things about toolbelt is that I had to, the pause there was because I almost called it toolbox, like Jason was calling it in the pre-show a bunch. But toolbelt, like, okay, so they have a social sharing component, as a lot of these sort of plugins do. However, they're not loading, if you go and look and drill down on that, they're not loading any of the third-party JavaScript. So the Facebook, the Twitter, etc. JavaScript. So you're not leaking that information over to Facebook or Twitter or anything like that. So you're not going to get any sort of fancy share counts, which are kind of going out the window anyway.
I mean, were they ever cool?
No.
I
mean,
people feel bad because they're like, I've got 2 shares and 2 likes, and it's like womp womp.
And some of those plugins even let you fake those out. So it's like, if you hit a minimum, it needs to be at least 300. You're like, oh, 301. Ta-da! Let's start at 300.
That's weak.
Yeah. So they don't even mess with that at all, and actually don't load it up. I mean, I never even use sharing buttons to begin with, but when you run into a client who is insistent that they want people to be able to share their stuff on Twitter or Facebook, it's an option.
So mobile, and you can just share from your browser window, like from your phone or whatever. You don't have to actually hit the button. But on desktop, there's not, people don't have their bookmarklet or whatever the hell, set up for the most part. So it is helpful for, especially if your clientele is more, or the business's clientele is more desktop focused. But I wanted to just say, so I just did this talk last week where I did kind of a roundup, and I'm always looking for this roundup. I do it. It's like for business site plugins. And so every year I do this like bout of research for social share plugins to see which ones have died and which ones have like imploded and which ones have been malwared, and because it's always something with the social share plugins. And it's so like there's always a new one, and there's always some leaving, and it's like it's one of the most like basic things you would think you'd be able to get. And I always end up recommending Jetpack because it's just basic, like, and it's there, and you can just turn it on and put your stuff in, and like you don't have to like decide on what length of box you want and like how many things you have, and like the add to any plugin is like the best solution for that. But it's got so much stuff. Like half of those social networks like don't even exist anymore. I don't even know what they're thinking. I'm like, Orkut, is that still a thing? People still using it? I don't know.
So are there more form plugins or social sharing plugins?
Well, the form plugins are at least, I think, have a little more longevity. Like, like Contact Form 7 may not be the greatest. Well, it's not. It's not the greatest plugin that's ever, but it's been around for like, I don't know, a decade and a half. Like most of the time I've known about WordPress. So does that toolbox do forms too?
No.
Oh, well, you got me all excited. I was like, forms.
Yes, turn it on. I'm downloading it.
Oh my God. I mean, that is something that Jetpack does, is the forms, the light, forms light. Yeah. So that is nice because you don't have to have another one logged in. But
well, there's like heading anchors. So like each heading gets its own anchor that you can drop down to.
Jump down anchor tag.
Yeah. That's
very handy. That's not in Jetpack either.
Mm-mm.
No.
I like
By the way, Orchid still works.
You went and tested it. It's still allowed.
Did you just log into your Orchid account, Jason?
No, I'm scared to do that. It'd be like it's like logging into LiveJournal or something. I don't want anybody to know that still exists and all of that.
So friends from 2003.
Toolbelt has related posts functionality though, and something that I think is interesting. Again, if you drill down on the plugin page, they say that their related posts function effectively just grabs stuff from the same category, stores that information in a transient, so it's not hitting the database every time. So
nice.
It is a fairly efficient way compared to how Jetpack does related posts, which it sucks up all of the posts on your site, as far as I'm aware, puts those through its own Elasticsearch instance, and then using Elasticsearch like finds actual like decent, good related posts. It does a great job, but a lot of the lifting is on somebody else's server, and you're dependent on that. This is something that if you want to keep it local, if you don't want to go out to another server, you know,
Yeah.
it's very farm to table, say.
Yeah, a farm to table plugin.
Yeah.
It makes me really happy.
Well, back to your comment about forms. Doesn't everybody use Gravity?
I mean, for people,
I do.
Yeah, but like if you don't need an actual like intake form, or if you're not actually using that, or a business isn't using that for generation, like business lead generation or anything specific, then they don't need that. If it's like a basic contact form, or if it's just like an interest form, they really don't. I generally use Ninja Forms Lite for that as like just the basic. It just works. Doesn't have, I would use WP Forms, but oh my God, with all the freaking dashboard pop-ups, with everything that company makes, like I can't. I'm like, you need to stop.
I've just always used Gravity, and they seem like they're a little bit ahead of the game with accessibility. And then I don't know if you guys were at WordCamp Orange County, that lady from Wisconsin that came in and put on the presentation about conditional logic and Gravity forms was awesome, I thought.
I mean, conditional logic is like my favorite thing. Like,
Yeah.
form that doesn't have all the things that like makes the form as you go, like it's literally like the coolest. Like it's user friendly, it's helpful for the data that you're getting. Like everything about conditional logic is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also in line,
especially when you're someone who wants to, like, you have people like in my organization where I work at, you have people that want to use Google Forms as their form, you know, the form to actually fill out and get it into a Google Sheet. Yeah, and get it into ultimately get into Google Sheets. And you can do that. You know, there's different add-ons for Gravity Forms if you wanted to kind of get that tied in. There's one from Code Canyon that I've used quite a few times called Gravity Forms Spreadsheet add-on. And it just connects those two dots and just all the stuff flows into Google Sheets and we're all good.
Code Canyon, huh?
That's what I was saying. You're Code Canyon.
You're a brave man.
Although I just saw Jason and I commented on the same Facebook post somewhere. I don't know where it was, on some group, on something about a booking plugin. And I have used for my own site and have recommended for client sites for a long time, Bookly, which is through Code Canyon, also through their own website, but is also on Code Canyon. Which has been pretty great, like in terms of what it's offered. But now there's this new plugin that Rochelle Wise just mentioned on there called Amelia, which is like Bookly, but like slicker. And like really is like, it has like, you know, has better pop-ups and whatever. So it looks a little more like 2019 versus like 2018 or 2017, which is like, you know, slightly different. But that's the only thing I've ever really consistently used Code Canyon for, just for the record.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I use Gravity a lot for an insurance niche that we do a lot of work in. And it seems like my agents that are 50 and above, if I send them to PayPal, about half the time they struggle signing in or remember what their password is for PayPal. But if I can use the Gravity forms with Stripe, they put their credit card right there in the form, they're done in 5 minutes and away we go.
Yeah.
And for them, Calendly seems to work a little bit better because it is older and it is simple. So I use Calendly for automatic bookings all the time.
People do like the Calendly. I feel like, you know, the user base, and this is something that I think is a big problem, like a bigger problem than this conversation, but the dev world is so much further along than the user world. Like everyone's like, hey, have you used Google Forms? Like this year. And it's like, yeah, you just found those, huh? Those are good for you? Like,
I have to constantly remind a friend of mine who works in DevOps that when he complains about a product and the way it works, that he is not using the product normally in the way that it's intended. He's not an end user. He's a power user. But most of the people on the web are end users. And
judgmental user is what he is.
So like the scenario that Glenn described, in some cases, just having the integrated checkout form on the site instead of sending what was the line from 30 Rock, never follow a hippie to a second location. It's like so
Yes.
A PayPal link to offsite process.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
especially now, everyone's so worried about like where the site is going, and they don't like people don't know how to check like if it is a real PayPal. Like I was just doing with a client, like I was like, we need to get your PayPal thing, and you're gonna get this email from PayPal, whatever, and they got it, and they're like, is this the email? Like I don't want to click on the email. It's like, I'm literally telling you you're getting an email. Does it say paypal.com on the thing that you're clicking on? And they're like, yes. And I was like, and there's no other
There
word
you go.
in the address, and they're like, yes. I was like, so it's the thing that I just sent you. So like they went, like a lot of the end users went from being like completely unaware that there was a possibility of, and just being like click 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 whatever,
Mhm.
out to like, oh, everything is dangerous, we can no longer click out of anything. So if the page takes you away and takes you to PayPal, they're like, panic, close screen, I'm gonna get ransomwared. It's all over. I know you, please.
You know, I actually that's kind of refreshing to have someone that's so paranoid that they don't want to click on a link in an email. Like normally, I've only ever had to deal with somebody who's like, I clicked a link in an email and now everything is on fire. Please help me.
Well, they've also been my client for a while, so after a while, don't click that. They like a lot of clients will just send me the emails. They'll just forward them to me, and they're like, "What's this?" And I'm like, "Spam." What's this?
Yeah.
Spam. Don't click it. Don't click that. Just delete it. Report it. A lot.
Yeah, we force our people to realize that you shouldn't be clicking on links by sending them bad links that tell them, hey, you clicked on a bad link, and it really pisses them off. But there's a company called KnowBe4 that you can use that will essentially send them bad links that go through our firewall, go through all of our all that stuff. But it's essentially training them to not click on links.
They're like,
and when they do
not click that again.
I get an email that says this person clicked on the link, and I pick up their phone. I pick up my phone, and I call them, and I go, "Did you click on that link?" And they're like, "Yeah, I was gonna get." Oh,
that's brilliant. Actually,
yeah, KnowBe4, good stuff.
I like that.
It happens to all of us. I think it was 5 years ago this month, back when I went to the dark side and I was still on PCs. And I'm sitting there talking to somebody, deleting email, and I wasn't paying attention. I'd opened an email and I lost every word and every Excel doc in my computer.
Oh, that's not good.
While I was trying to delete.
A targeted Microsoft hack?
Evidently. It was some type of spam, and I was literally just trying to delete stuff or whatever, and I was talking, and you know how your finger kind of goes across the mouse, and boom, I opened it, and
that's like
everything was gone.
Someone has a vendetta, like a really specific vendetta. That's like a specific troll.
Yeah.
Like, I only want to take out Microsoft products. That is all.
And I respect that.
Now you do.
I kind of do too. I was like, well, as long as they're targeting Microsoft.
It's a little dun, another one bites the dust type of thing.
So what else does this guy do? One of the things that Jetpack does do, and I don't believe it's actually by default unless you actually turn the little button on, because it has a lot of opt-in stuff, is the image optimization. So toolbelt seems to have that as well. What's its deal? How does it do that on your own site? Like, as Jetpack taking that again offsite onto WordPress.com servers and doing that there, doing the crunching. So how is toolbelt crunching?
Where are you seeing image optimization?
Well, it says optimization. Is that not what we're talking about?
Mm-hmm. No, that basically does a lot of things where it like removes the headers for like Windows Live Writer and all like the kind of useless crud that gets added to the headers. Image optimization. Yeah, image optimization. It's left to your own thing basically. However, for the I actually have something that I have been using and loving for that. I just need to dig it back up.
I have one. It's called compress JPEG and PNG images. Like literally the name of the plugin. Wait, I will get the actual name of the plugin because it's like I put it on my slides, and I'm like, this is not like a thing that I'm saying that you should do. This is of a plugin, and it cracks me up like every time. I have to look it up though. See, we're all looking stuff. We're Googling for you. It's called compressed JPEG and PNG images. That's literally what it's called.
Yeah.
A guy I know, he'd have it done for himself.
You have to do what?
Oh, I said a guy that I've known for.
Sorry. Well, go ahead.
I use Image Geotagger. It's a plugin or some software that a buddy of mine had built. So I think he sells like $15-20. It's pretty inexpensive and it seems to work pretty well. You can do longitude, latitude. It'll hook up to the GMB. It's not a bad little software.
Oh, that's cool.
Why do people want to be geotagged in their images on their website more than they already are?
Well, you know, if you can embed all that stuff in the back of it, not just putting it on your site, you can put it on image sharing software. You can put it everywhere you're putting it. Sometimes if it goes through, you'll still get some links and some tags back to your site.
Interesting.
He'll strip it about half the time. Half of them don't strip them. So you're just taking your chance and at least having images that are optimized with everything on the backside, whether it be your phrases, your geo, your tags, all the stuff like that.
The only people who are stripping those photos are people who know what those are. So you're going to get basically like the people who are like skilled at taking photos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Will take that stuff off, and the other people you'll just know where all your photos are. That's great. I mean, I think that's good.
Yeah, I did speak about on-page optimization at Orlando about a little over a year ago, and that was one thing I spoke about. You see all these algorithms about alt text and content and stuff like that. Have we ever heard of one algorithm Google's ever put out about an alt tag?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like for
a penalty to penalize something?
Oh, to penalize, not for penalization. Although lately I've been yelling at people more because for accessibility purposes that they shouldn't just be using the alt tag as a keyword repository, which is like what you see a lot. Again, because people tend to slowly catch up. And now that people are like, oh, wait, alt tags, keywords, that's a thing. And then they just like, still think that keyword stuffing is like a thing. So they're just like, blah, 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 blah. And that I feel pretty bad for people who use screen readers sometimes. Like, not like, I mean, that sounded weird probably, but I just mean because this, like, it's so terrible. Did you guys see that? I tweeted a little bit ago that was saying, like, if you use the letters on Twitter for like the fancy letters, which are actually math letters.
Yeah.
What it sounds like read out is like math number 472. Like, it's like really,
oh man,
instead of like, the cutesy little letters.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So
using things for the wrong thing and really screwing with that.
I appreciate the delay that you guys, the little tangent.
Covered.
Yeah. Thanks for covering. I found the repository on GitHub. Jason will make sure it gets in the show notes. There is an image optimize command that can be run with WPCLI that I have really been loving lately. So basically, you install this as a plugin if you are one of those people who is loves using WPCLI. Effectively, you can set up batches of images to be optimized. What I've done in some cases is set up a cron job that will, it basically, Sage just starts laughing in a second.
Sorry, cron job just makes me laugh every single time. I'm sorry. It's not you, me.
It's okay. No, it's kind of a ridiculous thing. Once you start talking about the command line and cron jobs, I'm sure like 3/4 of the audience.
We're gonna awk your grep. Don't worry about it, and then we'll cat your mores.
Terrible.
However, what this does is you can tell it like process a batch of 1,000 or 5,000 or even just 100 images, and it will grab 100 images and it basically tags if the image has been optimized or not. And will slowly but surely run through your library and do like on-server optimization of your images that are pretty good. They're actually a lot tighter than a lot of the like plugins out there. You're not depending on a third-party service or anything like that. So if you're kind of a DIYer, it's definitely something that I've been running for clients and customers and things like that, and they're happy with the results. They don't even notice that their images have been
happening.
Yeah, they don't notice it's happening. They don't know that things have been compressed. And if the cron tab runs and there's no new images to be processed, it doesn't just like sit there and wait and wait and wait. It goes, okay, nothing new, and moving on. That's it. So yeah.
And one thing to note about those is you can't use these on most managed hosting companies. They just won't let you use it. So like in the docs here, it says Kinsta and WP Engine. It's like, no. But other places may, your mileage may vary.
They also have their solutions for that. So that's why, right?
Yeah.
Rollouts.
And WP Engine, they have SSH access, but from what I understand, it's a little locked down. I know that on Liquid Web you can install it. We have all the binaries like ready to go, and so basically, like once the WP CLI command is issued, it'll run everything else. You can install it as a plugin and run it. There are
sense for an e-commerce site anyway, because they're the ones who are going to have all of those images that would need that kind of processing.
I missed the first part of what you said.
I'm just saying it makes sense for something like for the e-commerce, those are the folks who are going to continually have images that need to be compressed or optimized continually on an ongoing basis, as opposed to like your typical business site, which probably doesn't need that heavy of an image optimization solution.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But with that, with your question about alt tags, the screen reader is going to read the alt tag and the alt description. It doesn't read the advanced alt tag or the advanced alt description that you can do on page on your image on WordPress. And so by using the advanced ones, I've had times working with like attorneys that love seeing their faces on Google to start doing a lot of advanced alt tags with their phrases on there and that part of it. And then when the carousel shows up, their images pop in.
So what do you use to activate advanced alt tabs? That's
when you're on WordPress and you actually install the image on there and you click on it, you have that little toolbar up on the top with the 3 dots and the pencil. You click on that, and that's where you can get to the advanced alt tag.
As opposed to
okay.
alt tag. I love that you just described that with 3 dots and a pencil. That is like.
Well, sorry, I deal with so many neophytes. Totally. Like, go over here.
No,
How do I get into my Google account?
I just love this is like the language that we have, right? Like there's such language for this stuff, and you're just like, click on the 3 dots. Like this is like, I had that in my talk last week. Like I'm like, just click on these 3 dots to look at your theme and do try and customize or whatever, and like just click on the 3 dots. Like that just seems like such a weird, like we don't have a term for that. Like it's weird. I don't know. Web language is weird. Like,
it sure is.
So I have a question, or a little bit of it's not really a question so much, but just kind of something that is a little bit frustrating to me, at least for users or those end users, again, who are wanting to use something like toolbelt. Every time you click on one of their features for like more information, it sends you to GitHub, which is like instant terror for anyone who's, an end user. And I don't know if that's the best marketing strategy on their behalf. They should probably use anchor tags and like scroll down and be able to like see. I don't know if you can use anchor tags on plugins on the plugin.
Well, Bridget will tell you that that most developers are not very good at doing their own marketing, and they're very much so not good at writing any text that relates to stuff that the humans need to be able to read. All the muggles will need to be able to read and figure out. So if you're not the wizarding type, and then it makes it a little bit difficult to understand what it is that they're doing. So yeah.
I mean,
at least we're updating it.
Everyone shouldn't be afraid of losing their jobs ever, even for plugins that like kind of do it for them type stuff with this. It's like, because if you click to try to see what a cookie banner is, it literally takes you to their GitHub, and you're like, well, you just lost, all those people.
Yeah.
So that's not.
But don't you see this in the open source community that they use GitHub as such a repository for all their stuff?
Oh yeah, by far. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have the whole mentality. They think this is the only place we're at.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah, it's definitely not user friendly. I mean, devs love it. That's where they want to be. I mean, I get that, but bridging the gap here, people. Like this is the part where people start thinking that WordPress is too complicated, or you need a developer to use WordPress, because people, you're going through here and all of a sudden your plugins are like linking to, GitHub repositories, and then people are like, what the hell? I can't do this. It's too complex. Even if you install this plugin, it's going to be like, basic interface. But just because they don't have an explanation, like it should at least link just, you know, to a web page with like a basic explanation. Like this is, you know,
Well,
like
you should update their information and do a pull request and then get it updated on their website. On their GitHub site.
Yeah, no, I'm not updating their GitHub. I would be like, let's make you just a little basic website with this.
Right here, let's use Wix real quick. I'll show you how to do it. And with that, that's it. 30-minute mark. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. Go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com where you can learn how you can subscribe to our shows over there. Go take a look at that. See, I'm always on the top, so I can just like, here you go, right here. Also, we're an audio podcast, so if you want to listen to us in audio, we're on all the things. So feel free to go take a look at that too. Talk to y'all later. You have a good one.
Leave us a star.
Leave us a star. Leave us a review.
Whatever. It's cool.
Bye.